Our Opinion. My name is Tamika.
I'm Kim.
And we have a special guest today. Her name is Monique. She's with us today. Thank you, Monique, for coming. Today we're, no problem. So today we're going to have a discussion, and it's probably going to be a little tearjerker, but today we're going to discuss the 5 stages of loss. Those 5 stages are accepting loss, depression of loss, bargaining of loss. You also have the anger that comes with loss. And did I say all of them? Accepting, bargaining, anger, denial, and depression of loss.
Yes.
So with all the different 5 stages, it brought me to think about my dear friend. I would consider her my dear friend. We go a long way back since 6th grade. And of course, with everybody, you know, time and life, and you do get away from people, but it's always that one thing that may hit you and it brings you back to a person. And it was just so weird because I was going to Dre to get my nails done, my hair done, and I was talking to Sean, and everybody was crying in the beauty salon, and I'm like, what's going on? And they mentioned my dear friend, her daughter had passed, and you know, we're like close in age, so, and I have a daughter, so I was like so hurt. I immediately like sent a text and sent her my condolences. So we just want to cover loss today. So with that being said, we're going to open the floor up to Monique. So Monique, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
All right.
And you know, all that, and then we'll go into it.
Well, I'm Monique, and I am a hairstylist of over 20 years.
Yes.
I've been doing that, and I love it. It's my passion. Work at Plush Hair Studio, shameless plug.
There you go. That's right. That's what we're about. It's a plug.
6014 Mayfield, and I did experience loss about 4 years ago. I was actually 4 months pregnant with my son when my daughter passed away. She was 15 years old, and it was unexpected. So I don't know if it hits you worse when it's expected or unexpected, because sometimes, you know, as adults, we shouldn't have to bury our children. Usually, you know, our children bury us. So it was definitely unexpected. She did have not health issues, but she had issues. She had cerebral palsy, but health-wise, she was completely fine. Nothing, you know. So that's why it was so unexpected. Since I was pregnant, you know, well, actually, she was at the age where she could start making decisions for herself. She was behind cognitively, but she wanted to have a surgery done on her legs to help her walk more better. She used a walker, and I didn't get it immediately. You know, this was a process of over 2-3 years of me getting second opinions and trying to find out if this is the right thing to do, because any surgery has its risk.
Correct.
So we decided, you know, now would be a good time to get it done, and it wasn't the right decision, you know, but, you know, and, you know, complications happened, and she is no longer here. So, yeah. And it's been a tough road, you know. But like I said, being 4 months pregnant, I had to stay strong because I didn't want all of my feelings and stress and everything to affect my son. Right. So, you know, I'm not even sure if I grieve properly because of, you know, that fact in itself. Right. You know, people always say, "Oh, Mo, you so strong," and you know that I had no choice to be strong because I couldn't be selfish because I had another child to think about. Right. You know, so.
Okay. So with that being said, with the different 5 stages, like looking at them now, do you feel like you've experienced them, and if you've experienced them, in which ways? So like, did you go through the denial process at all? Like, you know.
As far as denial, yes, it was hard to accept. well, you know, I wouldn't say, I don't know if I went through denial because, you know, it is what it is. It happened. You know what I'm saying? I can't, it's nothing you can do about it. You know, I can't, you know, not, you know, say that, you know, deny it that it happened. You know, it happened. But as far as the other stages, as far as depression, anger, bargaining, of course, because I can remember when my daughter, she was in a ICU for 10 days. And I remember her laying there and she couldn't, you know, I didn't know if she heard me because she was in an induced coma. I didn't know if she heard me or whatever, but every day, you know, I was just by her side, like asking God, like, you can't do that, you know what I'm saying? Like, keep her here. I'll do anything. Like, take me, take, you know, just praying, like, whatever you want me to do, God.
Lord Jesus.
I'll, I will, you know, I can handle it.
Right.
But just don't take my baby. You know what I'm saying? And then that's where it progressed to anger. When I realized that, you know, wait a minute.
Right.
It's not looking good. You know what I'm saying? So anger was a big part of my, you know, a big factor stage. I still deal with it at times because, you know, you think about you're a good person, you know, not me, but my baby. Right. You know, she was, even though she dealt with, you know, so many things, you know, she never let that, like anybody that knows Kayla, you know, they're like, oh, she's so happy. You know, she didn't let.
When I seen her, I would see her in the shop, and that was before Dre moved. It was the shop off of Euclid when Rob was in there with you. You was next to Rob.
Now, Rob, thanks to my haircut.
Oh, Rob did your
cut my hair.
Okay.
Robert at Headlines.
There you go. But yeah, like I remember, she would be in there and everyone. She has such a great spirit and a beautiful smile. She did. She always seemed so happy.
Right. So that's why I'm like, well, you know, all these, you think like, hey, it's people that deserve. No, don't nobody deserve that. Right. But you know, you just. That's the stuff that go through your mind. Like, you know, why would, you know, take her, you know, and she was so looking forward to going to prom and, you know, she had just started high school and everything. So, yeah, anger, you know, but, you know, people always say, well, you know what, that saying, what, God makes no mistakes and, you know, and it's your time, all that cliche, you know, that stuff, you know. I guess a lot of people say it because they don't know what to say, you know, but at the time you don't want to hear it. You know, it's not that you don't want to hear it, it's just like, yeah, okay, or what, or it's always somebody that got it worse than you. Yeah, I know, but you know, I'm dealing with this, you know what I'm saying? But actually, like after she's passed, I do notice that people, a lot of people have it worse, like that family that went on that boating trip.
Yes.
And her whole family.
The whole entire family.
Her husband, kids, mother-in-law. I mean,
everybody.
Yeah. So
you just sympathize with people, and especially when you truly understand it, you know, like, you know, I would say even for our uncle, like that totally affected me. But, you know, if you're comparing, it's kind of like, I don't know if it was my daughter versus my uncle. You know what I'm saying?
And you know, that's what a lot of us do is compare, you know what I'm saying, death, or, you know, well, my mother died, or my, you know, it doesn't matter. I think it's all about how each individual it's based on how each individual deal with it. You know what I'm saying? That makes it, you know, because I've heard of stories about people who have lost children and like just completely lost their mind.
Yes.
You know?
Yes,
whether they had other children or not, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, you know, how everybody deal with it. But I think the most important part of me trying to heal or whatever is going to counseling. And I think a lot of people don't or a lot of us don't want to go to counseling. There's some kind of stigma or something attached to it when it really shouldn't be, because without that prayer and my husband, you know what I'm saying, and my mom, then, you know.
Yes. That
And
was
every-
probably one of my questions.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Did you
everybody
consider
don't have
counseling?
that, huh? Oh yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
went to my friend Shar. She told me about this place called Cornerstone of Hope, and
Okay.
it's on Breaksville, and
Okay.
they deal with all kind of loss, not just like, you know, they deal with loss, not necessarily just death,
Mhm.
you know, just like, well, like divorces,
Yeah, because it's similar.
loss of finance, you know,
Right,
whatever, just
right.
helping people through a hard time, and that helped a lot.
Okay. So for me, you know, speaking of our uncle, he was murdered, and in 2005, and that was the first time our family ever experienced anything like that. And
That's
I kind
tragic.
of right,
Mhm.
and I kind of went through the different phases, but I also went through the whole like, man, why us? Because we have a praying family. Like my grandmother was a
Yes.
praying lady. She in church every
Yeah.
Sunday. Shout out to Christ Temple. She, you
Yeah.
know, she there every Sunday, and we really are a praying family. So it was just so hard to believe. And then like when you, to this day, if my phone ring at 3 o'clock in the morning, it startles me. I'm afraid
Mhm.
because you know, my phone rang at 2 o'clock, and at the time I was married, and you know, my daughter was 3, I think. Yeah, no, she was 1. She was born in 2004. So we had to get up and pack up, and I'm on my way to my grandmother's house because they saying, no, first they were saying, oh, go to Metro. He had Metro on West 25th. I'm on my way to Metro, and then they tell me to turn around, just meet at grandma's house because he had died. So I was like really just freaked out and confused, and I didn't know what was going on. His wife at the time, like, she was in another bed. They admitted her when she, you know, because
When she
she
found
couldn't
out.
take it.
Yeah.
The funeral was actually held because she was still in the hospital. She almost had like a heart attack. It was like really bad. And
She
then
had she was able to make it to the
we
funeral?
had to put it on hold
Oh wow.
until she was able to
Attend.
attend. And so we, you know, so when you get there and you like, you know, what's going on, like, and then you really get the story. I think my anger came in because I felt like with God, why do you feel like you make the decision on who lives or dies, because you're not God? So like, who am I to take your life
Exactly.
and take you away from your family? And then 9 out
Did
of
he
10,
know this person, or did they ever catch him? The
Yeah,
person
They caught him.
and that's bittersweet too, you
Yes,
know,
they caught him.
because he one, he wasn't the only one who participated. That's number one. He was just the only one who got caught. After trial, they let him go as time served. So trial was 3 days. In 3 days, I was at every one. So to sit there and have to actually listen to everybody coming up testifying on what happened to the end of your loved one's life, and then for the judge to say time served as if it wasn't enough to keep him. So I think he was in there for maybe a year in the county, you know, by the time you go to trial and all that. And they let him go. And it really made me angry, you know, with the system.
Yes.
Even listening to, you know, and you know what, it's our pain, and I don't know, you know, I'm going to be transparent for this show, truly. I mean, I hope I don't offend anybody, but it is what it is. Like, every person that was on the stand to me I don't even, I mean, they're all in the medical field. They're STNAs. All they talking about is we was in the house. I dropped my baby off. You know, we was drinking. Blah blah blah. We hear all this commotion in the background. You know, they're telling the stories down to, because it's like, why wouldn't nobody call the police?
Oh, yeah.
They beat my uncle to death, literally. People, this guy didn't just beat him by himself. They couldn't determine what blow actually
Yeah.
killed him.
So they all need to be held responsible.
They hit him in the head with a metal bat, crushed his skull. He was able to get from that location. He was on Scoville. He was able to get from that location to the street. By the time I found that out, maybe he could have lived. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The girls felt like they didn't want him to get hit by cars. They pull him back out of the street. The guys come back and beat him more.
Oh,
I would have rather my uncle got hit by a car.
that's because you sitting up there and thinking like, what did they go through? You know what I'm saying, during this time? Like, you feel helpless too. You know what I'm saying? Because I think helpless should be one of the, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because, you know, you like, dang, what I could have did something. Like with my daughter, like, it's just helpless. Like, you know, what if I didn't, you know what I'm saying, let her have it? She would still be here. Or helpless, like when you fighting for your loved one. Like even with your uncle, you go to court. You sitting there and you got to leave the future or everything in what the judge's hands. And what he say,
Yeah.
you know, is okay. You know, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-mm.
You know, just like with the hospital, like they, you know, I know, I am 95% sure that something happened in that hospital room, and in a surgery room, and they knew they killed my daughter, but they're protected. You protect these people.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was going to ask, without wanting to, you know, just make it too uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like with that, like, was there anything you could do or prove or?
Oh,
you know?
yeah. I mean, and yes. I mean, like, as far as proving, like, when my daughter came out of surgery, and I don't mean to cut you off. With that, but when she came out of surgery, she complained about, and I want to say this because healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, they need to hear this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because when she came out of surgery, she complained, like, you know, she was telling them my stomach hurt, something wrong with my stomach. She didn't have surgery on her stomach. She had surgery on her leg.
Mm-hmm.
And she came out of surgery at 2:00 that afternoon. And she was in post-op, and I'm like, something ain't right, because this wasn't her first surgery. So, you know, she had major surgery on her back, like when she was 5. So, you know, I knew the process or whatever, you know, how she handled it. And I'm telling them something is wrong with her. You know, no, she's just in pain. And I'm like, well, you're pumping her with all these pain medications, Dilaudid, morphine. She was on, what's that other one that Michael Jackson died of?
Propofol.
Propofol and all that. How can she still be in pain if you're even, you know, if you're giving her all of this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make you think, like, well, let's look further into this. I fought with them. They sent her to a regular floor, and I was asking the nurse, I'm like, something wrong with my baby. She wouldn't eat. She was in so much pain. The doctor admitted after, you know, when she was in the ICU, she said, oh yeah, I heard your baby, your daughter screaming out in pain or whatever. She admitted and said that she did not come in there to see what was going on. Okay? Yes. And to hear that, it's like, how do you sleep at night? You know, and I begged the nurse, I'm like, give her a MRI, give her a CAT scan, give her I'm like, maybe because sometimes anesthesia give you gas and stuff like that. I'm like, maybe gas could feel like you about to die sometimes. That's what they say. So, you know, like, just look into it. They did give her a ultrasound or whatever. Oh, we don't see anything. You know, I'm like, well, call the doctor. Somebody need to get in here. I fought with them. They didn't give her the ultrasound till like maybe 2 a.m. and she had got out of surgery at 2 p.m. You know, said they didn't see anything. Well, by 7 o'clock in the morning when they making their rounds, you know, now they coming in there looking at her like, oh, something ain't right. Something ain't right. Then they want to rush in cut her cast off her leg, trying to see, thinking she had compartment syndrome
That's
or
what I was gonna
something.
say.
I'm like, it's not her legs. It's not. You know, why are y'all doing this? By that time, my baby's whole body just shut down. Her respirations, she just started shutting down. Then they want to rush her to the ICU.
Mm-hmm.
When they rush her to the ICU, that's the last time I see my daughter awake. Like, she was barely awake then, but that's the last, that I did not know that would be the last time.
That you would see your baby.
Yeah.
So, you know, they don't, and they're not held accountable for it, you know, and she stayed in there even when she was in the ICU. She you know, she's hooked up to all these machines, and they, you know, and they even lied to me. Like, when it was getting close for her, they knew that it was a wrap, but they just kept like giving me hope. You know what I'm saying? They called in palliative care, and at that time I didn't know what palliative care was really.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I kind of had an idea, but they didn't say hospice or nothing. They said palliative care. I'm like, well, why are y'all coming to talk to me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they like, oh no, it's not. You know, it's just, you know, we just want to make sure the family is comfortable and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, you know, and
hospice.
They knew.
Yeah. Palliative care, supportive care, hospice. When you hear those terms, things are pretty much, you know, not going in the right direction. There have been people that I know of that have been put on supportive care because, you know, it seems to be that it could possibly be a problem, and then they turn around and it's not, and then they're okay. But initially, when you hear those three terms, it's really because something is perhaps not going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty deep.
Well, I personally, and to speak in regards to just my perspective in loss, I didn't live in Cleveland when my uncle passed. I lived in California. I lived in California when my aunt passed. So personally, I don't think I've ever truly dealt with an actual death. I've had people in my family pass, obviously, but to be, you know, in a situation where I'm there firsthand, I have no idea of how that feels. I would be probably one of those people that would say, you know, you may, you know, God does things for certain reasons, and then in talking to people that I know that have had loss like that, I kind of have decided that it's probably better not to say anything and then just hug and be there than to say something, because I don't think people really want to hear anything at that point. They got enough going on in their own private thoughts that for me to say something might make you want to kill me. So I got to, you know, try and just be soothing to a person. So my best friend died. My goddaughter's mother, she died of cancer some years ago. And I mean, even her, I was young, so I really didn't know how, again, to deal with death. And she lived out of the state. I couldn't see her like that. I mean, I knew she was sick. I knew she had cancer. I knew she was dying. I just could not do it. And, you know, I talked to her children. We all are friends. I'm friends with her husband, her whole entire family, actually. But, you know, it's just, death is something that, you know, is really, really, you know, unless it happens to you or personally, I mean, you kind of deal with it, but you kind of don't deal with it. Yeah. Because I don't think anybody is mentally prepared for it like that. Even if you know, even if somebody's sick and you know, and you try to wrap your hand around it, it's when it happens. Yeah, you can't. You can't. And then
And like you said, when you said it's best not to say nothing or you don't know what to say, like I noticed that after that happened with my daughter, like when there's other people that I've known who's lost someone or whatever real close, because some friends of mine that I grew up with, they just lost their mom or whatever, you know, I felt myself like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Even after I went through the same situation and they were so close to their mom or whatever, I still didn't know what to say or what to do. Then it opened up my eyes like, wow. So this was probably what other people was dealing with when they were dealing with me. You know, then I was able to understand, you know, like, oh, okay. And that kind of changed my feelings towards, you know, some things or some people that you thought, you know, were supposed to be there for you or be, you know, your friends and stuff like that. You know, sometimes, you know, people honestly don't know, you know, what to say or how to be there, or, you know, because like you said, anything you say could be the wrong thing. I don't care what it is, because you don't know how people are processing, you know what I'm saying, their feelings. So you can think you coming from a good place and you trying to, but in actuality, you know, so that probably being quiet and hugging them is probably the best thing.
But that's still, that's good points that you both make, and but it's also how we process their actions, you know, because it's how you are as an individual. As an individual, I am the type, if I'm going through something, I mean, even if I'm coming across like just leave me alone, I really don't want to be left alone. So I feel like the person would have to really, really know me. And then I feel like I would be like this if they didn't and they listened to me and left me alone. Like I would have some type of animosity. Like why did like they weren't there for me.
And then see that's
it might not be right, but I feel like I would do that. You know, like
I think a lot of people do that.
Like don't, because I'm gonna be like, you know what, you wasn't there for me when I needed you. You know, and I'll hold that grudge. I don't know if it's right or wrong. That's why it's our opinion.
I mean, that's how you feel. So it's, I mean, that's how you
the only person that feel like that.
And I'm the same way. You know, friends that I've grew up with, or you know what I'm saying, like. And not even just friends I grew up with, just period, people like it hurt, like you go through that, like another part of that anger, like, you know, do you know what I just went through? Okay, I'm sorry if I said something wrong, or if I, you know, offended you, or if I didn't, you know what I'm saying, give me a pass. But then that person might be thinking, well, why you acting that way, or why, you know, but you know, it's just a thing that I mean, there's no right or wrong way, I don't think, of you know what I'm saying, dealing with it. It's just, you know,
it's grieving. It's your grieving. It's still a part of grieving.
But like you said, I think that if a person really knows you, you know, they should know, like regardless, like I'm gonna be there for you know.
That's right.
You know, regardless, I might give you a day or two or something.
Okay, she tripping. I understand what happened. I'm going to leave her alone. I'm going to get back with her though in 2 days. You know, or something like that. Like, that's what I would do, and that's what I would expect somebody who really know me to do. So I really try to treat people the way I would want to be treated. But they may not necessarily be my type of person. But I still go with that, because with that being said, I then internally know that I'm treating a person the way I would want to be treated, and I know that I would treat myself good. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're like me or not. You know, that's all you could go with, to know deep down in your heart of hearts that you're doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know.
Wow. And I think I'm the total opposite.
Okay.
In that sense, because
if they leave you alone,
leave me alone means leave me alone.
Okay.
That does.
And it goes with that personality.
But,
so like but it still goes to know.
Well, and it's not leave me alone. It's more, I only want to be around certain people. And when I because I have had this conversation with my family members, and when it comes to the time when I pass, because see, I don't have children. So really my, burial or somebody taking care of me when I get older or whatever is really left to my niece and to my cousins. And so I try and make a way so that I know that once I do get to be a certain age, I'm not a burden on them, but I know I'm going to need them. But in the end, when I talk to my sister-in-law, because I tell her, because she doesn't have children either, so we kind of like, go back and forth between each other. We can kind of relate in where we're going to be once we get to that stage. I told her, I don't need a lot. I don't want a lot. If my husband is still here with me, then that's who I want. If my family and my mother and my father and all that stuff is here with me, I'm okay with that. But I guess you're right. Everybody is different. Whereas I know that I got to come and sit at I got to come and sit on your doorstep until you open the door. That's just how that's going to have to be. And I think my sister is probably the same way I am, in a sense. And maybe it's just because we're not as, we're very introverted people. So I think that we both would be like that. So listening to this makes me know now that I do need to come and sit on your doorstep. And I have
just because you saying just because you feel that way, like if I say, just leave me alone, I need a minute, you mean like, yeah, give me my minute, leave me alone.
Right.
But if she says it, then maybe
it don't
she
mean
really don't
it's
mean
really
that.
For that minute. And
Just
a minute
a
is
minute.
60 seconds.
It's right.
But after that, I need some love. I need somebody that I can cry on.
Yes.
I need y'all to let me do what I do. Ugly, snot, holler to the top of my lungs. I'm needy in that sense. I'm not a needy person.
Right.
But in that type of a sense, if I'm hurting, something happened to my mom, my dad, my daughter, my family, somebody I'm close, I'm really hurting. Even if I go, because I feel like that's that angry stage that you go through. You're going to go through that, but it's only for a second. Then, depression may follow and all these other things. But for me, it's only that true second. Or it might not even be that. I might just be talking junk.
Right.
For me. I mean, that's just me.
But one thing they taught me in therapy, like it was interesting, and I did it, and it really helped. Like when you're going through something like that, she told me something like along these lines that your body only allows you to cry for, I think maybe, I'm just gonna make, because it was a small amount of time, like maybe 10 minutes or something, like fully just bawl. And she said, if you need to do that, because I was worried about my son, in my stomach and stuff while I was doing it, she said, your body only allows you to go through that type of intense crying for like a 10-minute time, or maybe 15 minutes. I think I'm saying 15 minutes too much. But and after you do that, you will notice that you will feel so much better. And when I tell you that was the truth, like I'll have them days, like it could be anything, like, because I had to move out of the house that, where we left to take her to the hospital to get her surgery. Like I had to get out of there. Even the area, like we lived in Euclid, I didn't even go to that area for about a year or two. Like I couldn't drive that way. I couldn't even drive past University Hospital. You know what I'm saying? Any little thing could just and I told her, like, the therapist, like, I would be trying to hold it in. She said, like, no, let it out. You got to pull over and just let it out. And when I started doing that, like, I would just think about everything. Like, she, like, put your all into that cry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You got to yell, scream, cry, whatever. Put your all into it and then let it go. You know what I'm saying? And you will feel better. That really helped.
Well, and see, and this is good. Hopefully, if there's anybody dealing with loss, like she's saying, you know, therapy is good. She even dropped the location to where, you know, where she goes. Don't think it's that stigma, and I don't know if that's just like in the black community.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
It's your opinion.
I hear a lot of that, like, yeah, they ain't crazy, you think you crazy, or you know, there's a lot of black folks that don't want to get, you know, talk to somebody, and not even with just loss. You know what I'm saying? Like, just dealing with life and what's going on. Like, everybody is going through, like, a lot of people go through so much. Yeah. Stop trying to hold that in. Talk it out. You know what I'm saying? Them people are trained.
Right.
Okay? To help, whether they mean it or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They trained to get you through or have you think a different type of way. You know, so that you can get through whatever you're going through.
And it's therapeutic. Like you said, if they good with it or not good with it, it might just be you probably really just helping yourself, and they just there.
Well, that's
right. Because so like it don't matter if they whatever, you just sitting there and you're getting it off of your chest.
Right, because they're trained to sit there and listen, because all the time people are not good listeners. Like you might need to talk, you know, and you want somebody to really, even if you don't feel like you need that at that time. You know, don't be all on the phone or hold on and you trying to talk to them and they're looking on like, wait, come on.
I need
they
your
give you that, you paying for that time.
Right.
So get that time.
Undivided attention, you know.
Well, so let's spin it for 2 seconds. So let's talk about the beauty, right, in your birth. Because I would say this, knowing that you were pregnant at the time, I knew how much you loved Kayla and how much you know, was just always there for her, and she was your whole world, right? I could tell she was just your world. And I mean, because, you know, too, we had, not trying to switch too much, but we had an aunt who also died, Down syndrome. And you know, but it was like she wasn't different. We never treated her different. So in the area in East Cleveland, everybody knew her. She would walk to the, you know, store. We never was afraid or anything, you know. So just like going back to that, like she died, but she was my grandmother's whole world. You know what I'm saying? And part of me think it was because she had a disability and she was a little different from the other children, although she was never treated differently. I think that made her be a little bit more with her, but everybody kind of was, you know. But with that being said, with Kayla and with you being so hands-on and with this devastating situation, I just felt like somehow in God's way, you know, it was like you got pregnant and it was like, it was God.
Do you feel like that saved you?
Right.
In a sense?
I feel like that saved me 100%. Let me tell you, God, now that I know was on purpose, because if that had never occurred, okay, and I'm be honest, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
There you go.
Okay, because my baby was gone, you know, and if I didn't have nothing else,
right,
like to, and I ain't gonna say replace, but
to live for, I would be out of my mind. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
No telling. I don't know where I would be right now.
Yeah.
You know, because I hadn't, Kayla was 15.
Right.
I hadn't had no scare about pregnancy. You know what I'm saying? Nothing ever happened.
Right.
And it was so crazy because Kayla wanted a sibling. So she knew about DJ, like, she knew that I was about to have a baby or whatever. She was so excited, you know. She used to tell me, "Oh, mommy, I ain't gonna be changing no boo-boo diapers." I'm telling you that. She did. That was the one thing she was disappointed because I found out I was having a son before she passed. So she knew she was having a little brother. She was so disappointed because she wanted a sister.
Okay.
You know, whatever. But he was for her. You know what I'm saying? And I think that hurts the most, is knowing that he would never meet. I mean, he knows who she is, though.
Right, because you're gonna
But,
always keep her alive.
Yeah, like she knows who she is. I don't have it on today, but I have her ashes. I have a heart that I got made, you know. And I remember when he had to be, I don't know, I'll say like maybe 5 months or so, and I hadn't talked to him about Kayla, or you know what I'm saying. He was just still a baby. And I people might not believe me, but I swear I went to get him out the bed one day, and I bent over and I had the ashes, and he grabbed it and he said, "KK." You know,
She talked to him.
I mean, he knows who she, you know, is. And I thank God. I thank God for giving me him, especially at that time. When she passed, because if I wasn't pregnant, like I wouldn't have been able to hold it together as well as I did, you know. And to have him here, and I'll tell you, that boy, he is amazing. I swear, he keep me happy, laughing. You know what I'm saying? Him, and my husband, they just like God knew what he was doing with that one.
Yeah,
I can't even deny that. There's no way I can deny that.
and there you go.
Well, y'all, it's time for us to come to a close. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
my
This
God.
I'm
was
gonna tell you
great.
something. I normally, you know, just go on a tangent when it be the end of our show, but
Yes, you
this
do.
was so enlightening to me. And I really didn't have to talk a lot. I really just, I like to sometimes just listen to people. And I think that's something that as a people, in our closing, that we got to get better at. Sometimes, you know, people just really want you to listen, and to the point of, you know, Cornerstone and Brecksville, even if you don't seek out professional help, everybody knows somebody that will just listen and not talk or interject, but just truly listen. So if you know somebody that's going through something, you know, give them that time, especially if you know that they're the type of person that, you know, truly needs to have somebody around. And if they don't, then, you know, give them that break. But you know, everybody just deserves it. So I'm going to go ahead and put up some information regarding Cornerstone, so that way, you know, if you do feel like you need some help, you can always follow up, because they got a good recommendation.
Yes.
Definitely, I want you to shout out your salons,
Yes.
so
One
everybody
more
know.
time.
Plush Hair Studio, 6014 Mayfield Road.
A great hairstylist.
Yes,
And
20 years.
we're gonna dedicate. I want to dedicate this segment to Kayla.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're gonna dedicate this one to her.
Thank you. So other than that, y'all, I guess we'll see you on the 22nd. Is our next show is going to be about insurance. I definitely want to thank our sponsors again, because without you, there is no Our Opinion. And everybody that supports, again, thank you so much for tuning in, and join the group. We'll send out some more invites to the group.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some more questions that we're gonna lay out. We want to see if we can get a whole bunch more input. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. Bye.